It was one of those nights that felt normal until it wasn't. We were walking home from a quiet get-together at her friend Haley's place. The weather was cool, the sky clear, and the neighborhood streets mostly empty. She held my hand like always, fingers laced through mine, her heels clicking softly against the sidewalk. She'd laughed a lot at the party, louder than usual, but I didn't think much of it. I chalked it up to wine and old friends. We'd been together for over 4 years, lived together for 2. I thought I knew her. I thought I knew everything. Then, while we waited for the crosswalk signal to change, her phone buzzed. That familiar chime she never changed. She pulled it from her coat pocket like she always did, casually, without breaking stride. But for some reason, that time I looked over. And I saw it. Just a flicker of a notification before her thumb swiped it away. A name I didn't recognize. Chase. Followed by 3 red heart emojis and a preview that read, "Last night was everything." Her thumb locked the screen so fast it was like muscle memory. She didn't even glance at me, just slipped the phone back into her pocket like nothing happened. But something had. I knew it. I felt it. The silence between us grew sharper with each step. She asked if I could grab almond milk on the way home tomorrow, like nothing had shifted, like I hadn't just watched a thread unravel everything I thought was solid. I didn't say anything until we got inside. She kicked off her shoes, pulled off her coat, and headed to the kitchen. I stood near the door, keys still in my hand, staring at her like she was someone else. She grabbed a glass, filled it at the sink, sipped slowly, and then looked over her shoulder. "You okay?" she asked, like I'd just had a long day at work. I didn't answer right away. I just stared. "Who's Chase?" I finally said. Her face froze for a split second. Just a flicker. But I caught it. Then came the lie. "Just a friend from the gym." "Why?" I stepped closer. "The message. The hearts. The last night was everything." "That doesn't sound like a gym buddy." Her expression didn't change much, but her eyes darkened. "You're overthinking. He was at the group class last night. We all went out for drinks after. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd get weird about it." I took a breath. It felt like trying to breathe through a knot. "And last night was everything? What's that supposed to mean?" She rolled her eyes. "He was just talking about the group. It was our first time hanging out. It was fun." "You're twisting it." "Am I?" I asked, my voice quieter now. "Because I watched you hide your screen. You didn't even try to explain. You just buried it." She crossed her arms and leaned back against the counter. "This is what I mean. You always think the worst. You've been distant for months and now suddenly you want to police my messages?" My fingers curled slightly. Not in anger, just reflex. "You're turning this on me? Really?" Her tone sharpened. "What do you want me to say, huh? That I met someone? That maybe I like how I feel around him more than how I feel around you lately?" That hit harder than any confession. She didn't deny it. She didn't even try. I stepped back like her words physically pushed me. "You're seeing him?" I asked, my voice breaking on the edge of the sentence. She didn't flinch. "Not exactly. It's not official. I'm just figuring things out." "Figuring things out while sleeping in my bed," I muttered. She shrugged like I was being dramatic. "It's not like I cheated. Not really. I just connected with someone. You've been checked out for a long time." The way she said it, so calmly, so matter-of-fact, it didn't feel like a conversation. It felt like a door shutting slowly in my face. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to demand answers. But I didn't. I just stood there, every part of me vibrating with something I couldn't name. She left the room and I heard the bedroom door close behind her like a period at the end of her sentence. I didn't follow. I sat on the couch in the dark, eyes open, staring at nothing while the glow of that one message echoed in my head. Last night was everything. Maybe it was the wine. Maybe it was the years of small compromises and quiet disappointments stacking up like bricks. But that night, something inside me cracked. Not the kind that bleeds. The kind that starts planning. I didn't sleep. I waited until I heard her soft breathing through the bedroom door. Then I got up, walked to her side of the bed, and took her phone. She'd used the same passcode since we started dating. I opened it. And what I found didn't just confirm the worst. It made me see everything in a new light. Not just texts. Photos. Voicemails. A video. Her laughing in a restaurant booth with him. Him calling her babe. Her replying with hearts. They weren't just flirting. They weren't just connecting. They were together. They had plans. I sat there on the edge of the bed with the screen lighting my face and realized she'd already moved on. The only one who didn't know was me. I stayed up the rest of that night going through every message, every photo, every shared calendar entry that linked them. Chase wasn't just some guy from the gym. He was part of her life now. They had inside jokes, favorite spots, shared playlists. I found a reservation at a boutique hotel 2 towns over. That was last month. It was under her name. 2 guests. I scrolled and scrolled, each swipe confirming something I already knew but didn't want to accept. She had emotionally checked out long before she ever physically left. Maybe that's what made it worse. Not that she found someone else, but that she had stayed just long enough to drain the last of what I had left to give. At around 5 in the morning, I walked outside with her phone in my hand. I sat on the front steps, cold concrete under me, the world still asleep. The air was crisp, the kind of air that should clear your head. But mine was still buzzing. I wasn't even hurt anymore. I was just empty. When the sun started rising, I went back inside and placed her phone back exactly where she'd left it on the nightstand. I didn't want a confrontation. Not yet. Not until I was ready. I went to work like normal, sat through meetings, smiled when I needed to. Nobody knew. Nobody could tell that the version of me who showed up that day was hollow. That night, when I got home, she was already on the couch. Legs tucked under her, watching a show we used to enjoy together. She looked over and smiled faintly. "Hey, how was your day?" My throat tightened. "It was good," I lied. "Just tired." She nodded, turned back to the screen. I stared at the side of her face for a few seconds. The familiarity of her profile, the way her hair always curled slightly near her ear, it all felt foreign now. Like watching a stranger play the role of someone I used to know. I went into the bedroom and closed the door. That night, I didn't touch her. Didn't speak. Just laid there pretending to sleep while her breathing eventually slowed beside me. The next morning, I started taking small steps. Quiet ones. I opened a new bank account. I got a storage unit and started moving a few things into it. My favorite books. Some clothes. Personal documents. I even backed up photos from my phone that I wanted to keep. Not of her. Of my life before her. My parents. My friends. The vacations I took alone. The person I used to be. Over the next week, I kept the act going. I was polite. Even affectionate when needed. She didn't notice. Or maybe she didn't care. Either way, she seemed relieved that I wasn't asking questions anymore. That I had let the chase thing go. I could see her relaxing around me like she believed she was in the clear. She started going out more. Late yoga classes. Dinner with friends. One night, she came home with a new necklace. When I asked where she got it, she said it was a gift from Haley. But I had already seen the message from Chase that said, "Hope you like it, it reminded me of your eyes." I said nothing. Just smiled. The next night, I cooked dinner. Her favorite pasta. Lit candles. Poured wine. She looked surprised. "You're in a good mood," she said. "Just wanted to do something nice," I replied. We ate. Talked. She laughed. I watched her, studying every movement. Not because I missed her. Because I wanted to remember who she had become. After dinner, she went to take a shower. I cleaned the dishes slowly, then walked to her bag left by the couch. Her phone was in it, unlocked. I opened the messages again. A new one had come in. "Chase, can't wait to have you all weekend. I miss your voice in the morning. I miss how you whisper my name." I didn't screenshot it. I didn't need to. That one burned itself into my memory. I slipped the phone back. Later that night, I asked her casually, "You ever think about taking a trip?" She raised an eyebrow. "Like a vacation?" "Yeah. Just the 2 of us." She blinked, surprised. "I don't know. Work's been kind of crazy. But maybe." That was the answer I expected. She was stalling. Waiting to see if things with Chase would turn into something more stable. I nodded like it didn't bother me. A few days later, she said she'd be going to a wellness retreat with Haley for the weekend. She said it like it was nothing. Like she hadn't already packed the red dress Chase complimented 2 weeks ago. I pretended to believe her. That Friday morning, I watched her leave with her duffel bag and yoga mat. She kissed me on the cheek, said she'd be back Sunday night. As soon as her car pulled away, I packed the rest of my things. Not angrily. Not frantically. Just methodically. I took what was mine. Left what was hers. I even cleaned up afterward. Wiped the counters. Took out the trash. I wasn't leaving a mess. I was leaving a statement. I taped a letter to the fridge. Not a dramatic one. Just the truth. "You made your choice. I'm making mine. Don't contact me." Then I locked the door behind me and walked away from the life we built on a foundation of my trust and her lies. I stayed with my cousin for a few days. Didn't tell anyone what had happened. Not yet. I wanted to let it settle. Let the weight of my silence be the answer to every lie she ever told. And when Sunday night came and she walked into an empty apartment, I hoped she would feel it. That shift. That absence. The consequence of treating someone's heart like an afterthought. Because I wasn't coming back. I thought she would call that night. I expected it. I imagined her walking in, seeing the empty shelves, the letter on the fridge, the closet half full instead of crammed. I pictured the moment her eyes scanned the apartment, heart pounding, confusion flickering before recognition. I imagined the panic setting in when she realized I was gone, not out for groceries, not blowing off steam, but gone in the way people leave when they've had enough. But the call didn't come. Not that night. Not the next morning. It didn't come because she already knew why I left. And the silence between us was her way of controlling the fallout. She had always been strategic. That much I understood now. She waited until the third day. Then I got a text. Just one line. "So, this is how you handle things?" No apology. No explanation. Just deflection. I didn't reply. I didn't have anything left to say that she hadn't already ignored. A few hours later came the follow-up. "You're being childish. We could have talked." Still, I said nothing. The silence was starting to work. The next text was different. "Ryan, please. Can we talk? Just once? I'm confused." I almost laughed. She was confused. Not when she booked hotel rooms with Chase. Not when she told him she missed his voice. But now. Now she was confused. I blocked her number. A part of me felt cruel doing it, but the bigger part knew it was the only way I'd stop checking my phone. I stayed off social media for a few days. Didn't want to see her face pop up in a tagged photo, arms wrapped around him, smiling like I never existed. I didn't want to see the people cheering her on, telling her she deserved happiness without knowing what she destroyed to find it. But curiosity eventually crept in. And when I checked, there it was. A post from her account. A picture of a sunrise over some lake. The caption read, "New Beginnings." I scrolled past it, then stopped. Because in the background, blurry but there, was his reflection in the car window. She wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. That same day, I got a message from Haley. I didn't know what to say before. "I just wanted you to know I had no idea." She never said anything to me about Chase. I believed her. Haley had always been more of my friend than hers anyway. We had a few mutuals too. One of them, a guy named Derek I used to work with, sent me a DM 2 nights later. Said he'd seen them at a restaurant near downtown. Said they looked very couple-ish. I thanked him and logged off for good. Whatever she did now, wherever she went, it was no longer part of my concern. But moving on wasn't simple. My days were quieter, but my head wasn't. I'd find myself zoning out in the middle of emails, replaying moments we shared, wondering which ones were real and which ones were performance. I'd remember our anniversary dinner last year, how she wore the dress I liked, how she held my hand across the table. And now I wondered if even then she was slipping away. I started journaling at night. Not because I wanted to write a book or keep memories, but because my thoughts were too loud to hold in. Every sentence helped me process the loss of someone who hadn't physically left yet but had emotionally disappeared long ago. I moved into a small apartment on the east side of town. It wasn't fancy. 1 bedroom, a decent view, close enough to work. But it was mine. I bought furniture piece by piece. A couch that didn't sag. A dining table with 2 chairs even though I ate alone. A bed with new sheets, no shared history. No scent of her shampoo on the pillows. It felt good to choose without compromise. To decorate for myself. To live without adjusting everything to someone else's comfort. I didn't tell many people what happened. Only those who needed to know. My boss understood. Said to take time if I needed it. I didn't. I needed structure. A routine. Somewhere to put my focus. Somewhere that didn't ask how I was feeling every 5 minutes. Work became my anchor. But the nights were hard. The quiet was the worst part. Not the silence of no TV or no conversation. The silence inside. The empty space where I used to reach out for her and now reached for nothing. I started cooking again. Something she always used to complain I never had time for. Now I cooked meals she never liked. Spicy things. Dishes with garlic and onions and sauces she used to call overpowering. I filled the apartment with the smell of things she couldn't stand. It was petty. I knew that. But it made me feel in control. Then came the email. Almost 2 weeks after I left. No subject line. Just her name in the inbox, sitting there like a ticking bomb. I waited a full hour before opening it. I told myself I wouldn't, but of course I did. The message was long. Too long. She said she didn't expect me to leave. Said she thought I would just deal with it until things got better. Said she was confused, said she didn't mean to hurt me, said she didn't even realize how far things had gone until it was too late. She never said the word sorry. Not once. She said she missed me. Said Chase was nice but not the same. Said things felt different now that she knew I was really gone. She ended it with, "I just want to talk. One conversation. Please." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I clicked delete. I didn't need to hear her voice. I didn't need to see her eyes. Because I knew what that talk would be. It would be her trying to explain what had no explanation. Her trying to pull me back into her orbit just far enough to keep me from moving forward. I had come too far for that. I wasn't healed yet. But I was healing. And her voice, her words would only reopen the wounds she left behind. A month passed. Then, too, I didn't hear from her again, and that silence was the loudest truth I could have asked for. No more texts. No emails. No surprise calls in the middle of the night begging for a second chance. She moved on like I never existed, and in a way I was grateful. Grateful because it confirmed everything I already knew, that I had been holding on to someone who let go a long time ago. And even if she came back tomorrow, sobbing, admitting everything, I wouldn't have opened the door. Not because I hated her. Not because I was still broken. But because I finally knew my worth. I started feeling lighter. I was sleeping through the night. Waking up without that dull ache behind my ribs. I started taking walks in the morning before work, just a few blocks with a coffee in hand, headphones in, letting music fill the gaps she used to occupy. It was simple. Peaceful. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. One Saturday, I ran into her by accident. I was leaving the grocery store, paper bags in both arms, when I heard someone call my name. I turned and there she was. Hair done, sunglasses pushed up on her head, wearing that same necklace Chase had bought her. She smiled like we were old friends meeting after a long time apart. Ryan, wow. It's been a minute. I just stared. Not with hate. Not with anger. Just that quiet, heavy kind of recognition. Like seeing a place you used to live and realizing it's not home anymore. Hey, I said flatly. She looked awkward for a second, then tried to recover. How are you? You look good. You seem good. I shrugged. I am. Her smile twitched. That was always her tell, that little corner of her mouth pulling back when she didn't get the reaction she wanted. She stepped a bit closer. I've been meaning to reach out. I just didn't know if it was okay. I waited. Let her fill the silence. She didn't say sorry. She didn't say I was right or she was wrong. Just stood there trying to make it feel casual, like we could just slide back into each other's lives if we wanted. I didn't flinch. Didn't let her words pull anything from me. I shifted the bags in my arms and nodded once. Well, take care. And I turned. Walked away. No goodbye. No drama. Just steps that felt like freedom. That night, I sat at my small kitchen table eating dinner by myself, lights low, music playing. And I smiled. Not because it was over, but because I had survived it. And more than that, I had rebuilt something from the ruins. Not the life we had, but the life I forgot I deserved. I started writing again. Not the angry, grief-soaked kind of writing I'd done in the first few weeks. This was different. Clean. Quiet. Honest. I started telling the truth about what happened, but not for her. For me. For anyone who had ever been where I had been, standing at the edge of betrayal, feeling like it was the end. It wasn't. I was living proof that endings aren't always disasters. Sometimes they're the beginning of something better. One night, months later, I got a message from her mom. Just one line. I'm proud of you. That meant more than any apology her daughter could have sent. I replied with a thank you, then left it at that. I didn't need validation anymore. I had become my own anchor. Slowly, I started letting people in again. I met someone at a bookstore of all places. Her name was Claire. She wasn't flashy or dramatic or the type who lived for social media. She asked real questions. Laughed at my dry jokes. Told stories that didn't revolve around drama or exes or half-truths. We took it slow. I wasn't ready for love and she respected that. She didn't try to fix me. She just listened. And maybe that was enough. Maybe it still is. I told her everything one night. All of it. The messages, the hotel room, the hoodie, the lies. She didn't flinch. She just held my hand and said, sounds like you went through hell. And you came out better. That was it. No pity. No advice. Just a truth I hadn't let myself believe until someone else said it out loud. It didn't erase what happened. It didn't make it hurt less. But it made it feel smaller. Like something I could carry without breaking. These days, I don't think about her often. Sometimes when I pass a certain restaurant or hear a song we used to listen to, she pops up. But she's more of a shadow now. Not a wound. Not even a scar. Just a reminder. Of who I was. Of how far I've come. And how I'll never let myself be treated like that again. There's a power in reclaiming your life. Not in revenge. Not in proving a point. But in living well. Quietly. Calmly. With dignity. I never wanted revenge. I wanted respect. And when I couldn't get it from her, I learned how to give it to myself. If you're listening to this and you're in the middle of something similar, hear me now. You don't need to wait for closure from someone who broke you. You don't need their apology to move on. All you need is one good day, one brave choice, and the willingness to believe that peace is possible. It won't be instant. It won't be easy. But it will be worth it. So here I am now. Not bitter. Not broken. Just rebuilt. On my own terms. With my own strength. And if I had the chance to go back and undo it, I wouldn't. Because I like who I am now. And I wouldn't trade that for the version of myself who used to beg someone else to see him. That chapter is closed. And this new one? It's just getting started. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. If this story meant something to you, hit that subscribe button and leave a comment down below. Your support means more than you know. Until next time.